Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the biggest buckets would be, public versus private, and then kind of disseminating from there, right? So public are various types of institutions, typically through the state or the city. So here in New York, we have the CUNY system, which is the City University of New York. That's a public institution. And there are a myriad of campuses throughout the 5 boroughs. And that would include four-year schools and community colleges. And then there's the state schools, which are the SUNY campuses, so the State University of New York. And there are 64 campuses across New York State. And those are also 2-year and 4-year programs. And then it gets a little murky when you get into the private school sector. Some folks will call them independent colleges as well, which I think is an interesting term, just to be aware of. And the biggest difference there is that you'll have private nonprofit and private for-profit. So a lot of the for-profit colleges will kind of, cloak themselves in the idea of being a private school, and we're so fancy because we're a private school. But the difference is where the funding is coming from. So public institutions, CUNY and SUNY, are being subsidized by the state and federal government, and they're given a cap as to how much they're allowed to charge a student to come to school there, and that's tuition. And then a private institution can do whatever they want because they're privately funded. So they are getting some federal and state money, but they'll be receiving a lot of their money from student tuition, so like directly from the student, and then also private donations from various foundations or successful business people, alumni, so on and so forth, as a gift sort of thing. And they're running as a nonprofit, so the idea is that 100% of their money is going back into the school, back into the facilities, and back into the education for the student, which I think is a really great model. And then the private for-profits are basically run like a business. So all of the types of higher education run in some way of a business, right? So like we see CUNY has ads on the subway, right? And, but also a lot of the for-profit colleges do as well. And I would say that the biggest difference and probably the danger of a for-profit institution is that their emphasis on student support and the amount of money that they charge in order to go is kind of off balance. So they'll charge $20,000 for a 2-year associate's degree program that could be free to a student who's going to a CUNY school, in the sense of like receiving financial aid and things like that from the federal government or the state. And so to me, it's like, well, why would you not go for free? And then students are borrowing money to go to these for-profit institutions, but because they're a business, their model is based on hoarding, in a negative, that's a really negative way, but like to keep growing their business, right? So the more students I get, the more I can grow my business. And the least amount of money I can spend on instruction, like paying my teachers or getting quality teachers, means that I can pocket more money as a CEO. And I would say that's one of the biggest differences between a private and nonprofit. And a private for-profit is, for-profit has a CEO, and they have investors, and they might be on Wall Street, and people are trading stocks in their business. And then a private nonprofit is going to have a president and a board, and they're going to be managed in a much different way.